Jai Shri Krishna. So I'm going to show you my lab rat that I do most of my experiments on. So here is our lab rat. This is the ear, face, anterior surface, lateral surface. Why are you laughing? Posterior surface and the other lateral surface. So this is the rat, and this is the ear. This is the helix. This is the antihelix. This is the crura of the antihelix, and this is the triangular scaphoid fossa, and this is the external auditory meatus, and here is the conchate, and here is the lobule. Oh, basic anatomical mistake. This is not a rat. Jai Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Lakshmi Narasimha. So today I am going to talk about human anatomy, and in that the ear. So this study of the ear, nose and throat is collectively referred to as otorhinolaryngology. Oto indicates the ear, and rhinus indicates the nose, and the larynx indicates the throat, and the other organs in the throat. So today we are concerned only with the ear, and in that also the external ear. So I have made this into three parts. So this is normally studied in three parts: the external ear, the middle ear, and the internal ear. I made these charts for a better understanding of the ear and its complete anatomy. And this is part of MBBS anatomy syllabus that is studied in the first year of MBBS. So let me explain the external ear first. And this is a very important part because there are many problems related to the external ear, and the external ear contains the pinna, or the auricle as it is called, the cartilaginous flap that we have, and the other part of it is the external auditory meatus, and the third part we have is the tympanic membrane. So I have studied about this anatomy from the book Human Anatomy for Nursing and Allied Sciences by Mahindra K.R. Anand and Meena Verma. So and there are various other books also for anatomy studies, and today we are going to see these three parts that form the external ear, and we should also make videos on the other two parts, and along with that about the nose and the throat and the rest of the body with its bones and various parts. So let's start with the pinna, or the auricle, the external cartilaginous, the fibrocartilaginous part that you see outside, the shell-like part, two of them in the two sides of our head, two lateral sides of our head. So they are laterally extending, laterally protruding shells type. So this is specifically designed to bring sound into the external auditory meatus. So this is designed like a shell shape so that sound waves, which are sensitive to physical forms, can enter inside the external auditory meatus. So this has many parts, and they have been named also, and they have many nervous connections. So let me explain this. This is actually a little bit colored. It is peach, but I have colored it to make a distinction between each part. So we have names for each part. So the external part that you see, the rim of the ear, is called the helix, and we have the antihelix that is just below that. It is shaped like this. Two horns type, as you can see here. We have two horns type over here, and these are called the crura. So the crura of the antihelix, these two portions, and the triangular portion between these two crura and the helix is known as the scaphoid fossa. And we have these crura of antihelix, helix, and the scaphoid fossa in this portion. This is the superiorly anterior portion that comes a little bit forward, and as the helix goes over here, we have the Darwin's tubercle coming over here. It has a little bit of significance, and as we come down following the rim, we have the lobule. So while the rest of the ear is fibrocartilaginous, the lobule is fibrofatty tissue. So this lobule has fibrofatty tissue, it stores fat, and it is a little bit fatty and soft, whereas the rest of the ear is somewhat cartilaginous. So cartilaginous. So here we have the Steinbach conchate. It's a very important portion of the ear. So you can see this portion. We have it. It's a small type of depression, central depression in the ear that leads into the meatus. So you have this type of a depression and then that leads into the meatus, a small pit in the ear, the central part of the ear. So this corresponds to a very important part. It's called a suprameatal triangle, and that is used to approach the mastoid process. And there are some infections that affect the mastoid air cells, and that can go to the cerebellum of the brain and the sigmoid sinus. So to stop it, we actually make a hole here and approach the suprameatal triangle through this portion. We should be careful because the facial nerve is passing through this portion and it can injure it. So it has to be very carefully approached, and it is exactly a suprameatal triangle that we can see in the norma lateralis view of the skull can be studied through this. And this is the external ear which we're talking about today. And the pinna, the external auditory meatus, and the tympanic membrane, a part of the tympanic membrane, form the external ear. So these portions can be viewed by a normal otoscope or an endoscope. You can see them through the machines I mentioned now. So pinna is fibrocartilage, and the lobule, the down part, is, or the inferior part, is the fibrofatty tissue. So the lateral surface is what we're seeing today. So basically the ears are extending laterally. So we have the ears as shell-like projections. They are on the two lateral sides. So before understanding the ear, where we have a lot of confusion regarding the lateral and medial portions, let us understand that lateral means away from the body or outside the body on the right or left side or anything like that, or away from the body in any sense. It can be from any side. Medial means towards the body. So as we go towards the body, so for example, we say the medial surface of the ear, that's the inner surface of the ear, and the surface that faces the body, and the lateral surface is the surface that faces outside. So we're going to see the concha. Now we're going to explain each one of these portions. So the concha is a pit in the ear, and that leads into the external auditory meatus. Is specifically designed by Mother Nature and God to bring sound in a systemic manner inside the ear. And I explained about the suprameatal triangle and other parts of the ear, the antitragus, the lobule, and other portions of the ear. So the external auditory meatus is exactly in this type of triangle. You can see here it's somewhat circular triangle portion. And the muscles of the pinna. We're going to explain the muscles of the pinna now. So pinna has many muscles. Auricularis anterior, auricularis posterior, auricularis superior, and helicis major, helicis minor, and trachecus and antitrachecus are the different muscles present in the ear. They have no significant function in humans because we don't move our ears like animals. So these are supplied with the facial nerves. The facial nerve supplies these muscles, but they have no or too-less significant value. So that's why too-less means some humans can move their ear. There is nothing like impossible about it. So this is more active in animals. Animals move their ears through these muscles and many more. So they're not exactly the same. Again, now we have the lymph nodes, the lymphatic drainage. So almost every part of our body has lymphatic blood and nerve supply. They have drainage of lymphatic and we have venous drainage, arteries and veins, nerves, etc. passing through almost every part. That's why we have sensations and blood supply and lymph supply and drainage in each of our body parts. Now we're going to see the different nodes, lymph nodes present in the auricle. Auricle is the external or lateral portion of the ear and of the external ear, and we have the parotid lymph nodes in front of the tragus. So I explained the tragus, it's a small flap. Okay, so when the ear comes like this, we have a small flap protecting the external auditory meatus. I forgot to mention this portion. So this is a portion that literally covers the external auditory meatus. So if any dirt is affecting the anterior portion of the ear, or the portion, or the portion facing the front or the anterior side of the face. So if there's dust coming, then the tragus will be able to protect it because it is a flap covering, almost covering, not completely. And so this tragus is supplied by parotid lymph nodes and drained by them. Mastoid lymph nodes are behind the auricle, where we have the mastoid process deeper inside, and deep cervical lymph nodes are also present somewhere over there. And now we shall see the arteries. The external carotid artery. We have two types in the ear itself. You have the external carotid artery and the internal carotid artery. So the internal carotid artery has a sympathetic plexus around it, and that will be studied in the middle ear. For now, let us see the external carotid artery. It has its posterior auricular branch that supplies the pinna, and the anterior auricular branch of the superficial temporal artery is also supplying the pinna, and you have the branches of the occipital artery also supplying the pinna. So veins follow the arteries almost throughout the ear till the middle ear cavity. The veins keep following the arteries and drain them from there. The nerve supply is the great auricular nerve, and this supplies the cranial surface. That is the surface that is attached to the cranium or the skull. And the antihelix is also supplied by this. We know the antihelix, I just explained it now. The part below the helix is known as the antihelix, and the lobule is also supplied by the great auricular nerve. Next, the lesser occipital nerve is supplied by the upper part, supplying the upper part of the cranial surface. Now, the upper part of the cranial surface means this portion. This is supplied by just behind the ear, but in the cranial surface. This is supplied by the lesser occipital nerve. The auriculotemporal nerve supplies another portion, and that supplies the anterior part of the lateral surface of the ear. And the auricular branch of the vagus nerve supplies the cyma conchae and the conchae present in the ear. So that's why they say that you should not use a warm jet of water or syringe of water in the ear. This can stimulate the auricular branch of vagus nerve. That is the only subcutaneous nerve, and this can just stimulate it, which can cause coughing, vomiting, and even sudden cardiac inhibition. So these are the problems. So we don't use a warm jet of water to remove the wax. Instead, we use a gentle suction on the ear that removes the wax. Now we shall see the external auditory meatus. We just now saw the pinna and all parts of the pinna and their functions. Now we shall see the external auditory meatus. This has two parts as classified. So the the external auditory meatus is divided into two parts. So the first starting portion, as explained here, is a cartilaginous portion, and this is only 1/3 of the whole meatus. So it is supplied by cartilage, and the 2/3 of it is supplied, covered, not supplied, by the bony temporal bone. So there's a bony part of the external auditory meatus. This is the most part of it, because we have the temporal bone that lodges the external auditory meatus. So that's why we have the bony part is more over here, and the bony part also contains the tympanic membrane, which we'll also see now. And the next thing here is that the 1/3 lateral portion, or outside the body, means away from the body, is the cartilaginous portion, and the 2/3 that is medial to the body, that is towards the body, is the bony portion. And the tympanic sulcus is present, and that lodges the tympanic membrane. So we have a small tympanic sulcus type of thing that holds or keeps the tympanic membrane. It's not completely covered by it, or it's just holding it. And now we'll see the blood supply of the external auditory meatus. Posterior auricular branch of external carotid artery approaches this. So we right now saw the this same artery also supplying the external ear. The same thing also supplies the external auditory meatus. The deep auricular branch of maxillary artery, that also supplies the external auditory meatus. The anterior auricular branch of the branches of superficial temporal artery, these also supply the external auditory meatus. So we know about the temporal artery, and the veins run along the arteries as usual. So where the arteries run, the veins run just beside them. And we have the jugular vein and the maxillary vein, both large veins following the arteries. And the nerve supply of this portion, the external auditory meatus, is the auriculotemporal nerve, roof of the meatus. It supplies the roof of the meatus. So we have the meatus like this, it's a circle shape. So the auricular temporal nerve supplies the superior and posterior portion, and the auricular branch of the vagus nerve supplies the anterior and the floor. The posterior wall of the meatus and the floor. So the roof is supplied by the auricular temporal nerve, and the posterior wall is supplied by the vagus nerve. So next we shall see the eardrum. So we saw the external auditory meatus, and this is the main portion where we have wax also. Cerumen is called wax. We know about the ear wax. It is produced when water enters the ear, and the ear gets macerated by water. So water generally macerates the ear wall, that's the external auditory meatus. So the ear has a special mechanism to prevent water from doing this action, and that is wax. Wax collects the water and bundles it up and protects the body from insects also, killing the insects, and along with that it also protects the body from dust by covering the dust and mixing them together. So these are the functions of cerumen, and one should not remove wax too much and get suctions done once in a while. It's wrong. Only for certain people who have infections and too much wax collection in the ear or ceruminosis, they should get the suction done. And earbud usage is very wrong. It tempts many people, and earbud usage is very wrong. So it pushes the wax deeper inside the ear, and this will harm the tympanic membrane we're going to talk about now. So the external auditory meatus is very gentle, and one should not use anything on it, especially because it contains the main thing, that's the tympanic membrane behind it that can lead to big problems. So one should not do anything dangerous to the ear. Next we have the eardrum. So ceruminosis means excessive wax collection, and this happens sometimes. So that should not be treated, so-called treated with earbuds. So eardrum, or the tympanic membrane, which is its scientific name, its anatomical position is like this. We have it a little bit 55 degrees curved laterally, so it is extending or protruding laterally, and it is 55 degrees with the floor of the external auditory meatus. Its exact position is like when you enter the external auditory meatus, you bend a little bit down, so a little bit downwards, and it is extending laterally, somewhat like this. So this is the position of it, and it is like somewhat concave on this portion and convex behind. So that's how it is present. And next we will see the parts of the tympanic membrane. Malleolar folds are present in it. So you have this circle type of tympanic membrane. It's somewhat oval, and the cauda tympani nerve passes through it. And along with this, we also have Along with this, we also have two main portions. It's called pars tensa and pars flaccida. Pars tensa is a larger portion, whereas pars flaccida is a smaller portion. Pars tensa is a greater, larger portion, and it is taut, whereas the pars flaccida is a little bit light, and it is also having the limb of the bone malleus. We have 3 ear ossicles. I shall explain the complete anatomy of these ossicles in our next video. And the handle of the malleus and the piece of incus, these two are seen externally because the tympanic membrane is translucent. So transparent means glassy, like you can see through it. Translucent means slightly, you can see just a few structures behind it, and that's how the tympanic membrane is. You can see a few structures behind it, like the limb or the handle of malleus and the incus also. So this portion is called the cone of light, and the greatest concavity on the whole of the tympanic membrane, like this, is the umbo. It's called the umbo. It's a point, and from the umbo, just below the umbo, the posteriorly inferior quadrant, is called a cone of light. Why is it called a cone of light? Because it is somewhat concave, and when you see it with an otoscope with light, you can see that the light actually reflects this area most. And next, deep auricular branch of, okay, now we're going to see some more things over here. Sometimes there is a lot of pus that is present in the ear, and we have the middle ear infections. I shall explain the middle ear infection in our next video. So these middle ear infections are very dangerous, and they can spread to the adytus, they can spread to the mastoid process, to the adytus and antrum, and they can go to the cerebellum and the sigmoid sinus. And so to remove this pus, generally surgeons cut this portion of the tympanic membrane. This is a posteriorly inferior quadrant. That's very important to understand, because we shouldn't cut the upper parts of the tympanic membrane to access the middle ear. We should cut the posteriorly inferior sides, because the superiorly anterior sides are covered by the collar tympani nerve. The collar tympani nerve innervates the superior portion, and the posteriorly inferior portion can be cut, and that is okay. That is not a very big problem, and pus can be drained out to that area. But I suggest that surgeries are not necessary unless it's a very dangerous condition. We can cure it with various herbs. Like for example, there is a herb called marua, and you can search for that, and it's called Oridanum vulgare. Its botanical name is that. So it is very useful, along with the garlic, onion, and tulsi, etc. These juices are very useful for ear infections. The outer cutaneous, so basically we have three parts of the tympanic membrane: the outer cutaneous layer, the middle fibrous layer, the middle portion which is fibrous, and the inner mucous layers. The inner part is somewhat mucous. And now we shall see the arteries, the blood supply of the tympanic membrane. The deep auricular branch of maxillary artery, the stylomastoid branch of posterior auricular artery. These are the two ones, and along with that we have the anterior tympanic branch of maxillary artery. So these three arteries supply, and the nerves that we have is auricular temporal nerve. We have the auricular branch of vagus nerve. It is continuous from the external auditory meatus till the tympanic membrane, and the glossopharyngeal nerve. The glossopharyngeal nerve, I'm correct, is the ninth cranial nerve. It also supplies the tympanic membrane. So the glossopharyngeal nerve actually also supplies the pharynx, that is also present in the throat. So maryngotomy, which is the incision that is given to the tympanic membrane, as we explained, should be given the posteriorly inferior quadrant. And one more very important thing that we are supposed to see here is that the tympanic membrane is somewhat pearly grey in color when seen with the otoscope. So when the light reflects on it, it seems to be pearly grey, and that's its color. And in the next video, the middle ear cavity video, we should explain why you have a lot of pain when you ascend with the plane and you go to higher levels of atmospheric pressure, and why there is more pain when you descend from higher levels of atmospheric pressure to lower levels, and why this problem happens exactly. And we should also see a complete anatomy of the middle ear cavity, and we should also see in our third video the complete anatomy of the internal ear. So thank you. Jai Shri Krishna.